Thank you. We could wrap it up there, but I'm going to ask a couple more questions. Have you done any work with the federal government on equity?
That's an interesting question. A lot of us that do this work, a lot of times we do it stealth and we don't use the buzzwords of the season. Before the Biden administration, the previous administrations, it was inclusion, it was fairness, it was all kind of like, this kumbaya language, and no one was really addressing the systemic issues that Black Americans in particular and other, undertapped communities had experienced in America because of systemic issues that, we still candidly navigate to this day. And so, as of late, we absolutely have, but a piece of legislation I was really proud of because it was really grassroots, it was really bipartisan, was the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act, and it became known as the Equity Crowdfunding Bill. And it was originally called Equity Crowdfunding Bill. At the time, Speaker Boehner got together with the White House in the 11th hour because the bill was about to be dead, and they changed it to jobs. Like, who wouldn't vote for jobs? And so Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act actually passed as one of the most bipartisan pieces of legislation in both terms of the Obama administration. Affordable Health Care Act was one, and the Jobs Act was another. Lately, I've had the opportunity, I worked specifically on, before it became known as CHIPS and Tech Hubs, it was called Endless Frontier Act. Congressman Schumer, Ro Khanna out of Silicon Valley, that's his district, they put forth tech hubs. And the equity piece that we put in that particular piece of legislation was that at least one of the multi-billion-dollar tech hubs that's forthcoming would have to be in a region that had a density of HBCUs and MSIs. So automatically, that means Baltimore could be a city, DC, Atlanta, the Raleigh-Durham area, New Orleans, and Houston. It's only a few cities that have a density of HBCUs. We work with Congressman Hank Johnson on the Cybersecurity and Opportunity Act, which also drives more resources to HBCUs as well. We go back to the Obama administration when Senator Mary Landrieu was running the U.S. Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship. the State Small Business Credit Initiative 1, which Maryland participated in, was an early adopter with TechCo. And TechCo led the way definitely on the venture side as well, so kudos to you all on that. Participated in a couple of congressional hearings. This time around, we were able to work initially a little behind the scenes navigating. It was going to be racial equity. A little disappointing because the administration ran on racial equity, but what we all learned is the appointees come in and then they run into the people who've been there for decades. And so the legislation starts to get watered down because people don't think they can reach the goals, right? They don't see, they don't live, they don't hear the stories. They don't know that there are, tens of thousands of fundable black founders in this country right now ready to get a check. There are thousands in Maryland. Lou Cooper shouldn't be the only one that raises $6 million and has a successful exit. There are hundreds or more just in Baltimore alone. But when people don't see that, they tend to dilute it so that they can reach their goals and metrics. And so racial equity became SED, socially economic disadvantaged individuals. And we all now can say the acronym, but we're still getting used to it because we were fighting for racial equity. But the long story of that is it's like the work continues within the work. And so I've just been privileged the opportunity. And I think growing up in Atlanta really helped to shape my worldview that policy is precedent in everything. And a lot of times the tech startup and venture ecosystem has tried to work outside of politics, and then they run into some regulatory issues and get yanked, into the carpet. And what I've realized is that truly, and just sincerely, almost 25 years in this ecosystem, The private sector has disappointed us every time. We all we got, and we got to make sure that we are in policy positions to actually drive equitable policy that drives us into the fourth industrial revolution.
What's the difference when investing in black companies and the investor world monetary wise? What's the difference?
I love investing in black companies. Right now, our venture fund, 100 Black Angels and Allies, we exclusively invest in black companies. I actually fundamentally believe that as a limited partner in a fund or as an investor in a company, you're breaching your fiduciary duty if you don't invest in black men, and specifically black women, because if your job as a VC is to return principal, reach alpha, there's no way you can do it without diversifying your portfolio. And when you trust people who have not had with something, you allow them to innovate without restrictions, you see the world. So when I look at our macro portfolio and I look at who's actually performing, like who's still thriving, through this, perceived economic downturn, predicted perhaps to be a recession, kind of self-prophesying recession that's happening, with all the layoffs that, companies, why are you laying off when you got 56 billion in the bank? But that's another conversation. But my point there is, investing in black is just fiduciary. It's just a fiduciary in terms of return on capital.